Live from their home studios, please welcome the hosts of DevCentral Connects, John Wagnon and Jason Rahm.
Well, hello there, community. It is 2022. It's crazy. I still remember pretty clearly transitioning into the new century with the Y2K crazy, and am I going to get called in and it's going to be like 4 straight days of solving technology problems? And that was 22 years ago. It's crazy how time flies. And, we may even have some followers now who are just like graduated college that were not alive when the Y2K happened. So that's a little crazy, but welcome to the show. We're happy to have you here in 2022. And before we kick off a whole year of things that are forward looking, we're going to take today and maybe look back a little bit. So I have my good buddy John with me today. John, how are you?
Jason, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 2022, right? So yeah, man, it's crazy what you just said. I mean, there may be some people, and hey, everyone out there, comment out there if you if you were not alive in the year 2000, Y2K, that whole craziness, that was crazy. But yeah, man, it's fun to be here and start a new year.
Definitely. So anyway, we just got through the holidays. I had a show post Christmas because I was sick the week before. And so I delayed it, but otherwise we've kind of been off for a couple weeks, at least for DevCentral Connects. And so, we wanted to talk a little bit at the top of the show here about maybe some of the holiday traditions or at least holiday activities that might have occurred. And whereas, we made it through the holidays and had a lot of activities, we didn't actually get around to our gingerbread competition until, last night. And so I wanted to share the Rahm Family Gingerbread Christmas competition, and I need some votes, people. So here are your 4 options while John and I kind of talk about a tradition here. Option number 1's an A-frame with some fancy roofing, maybe a little gumdrop tree there. And number 2, a lot going on the roof, not so much going on the ground and the front. And then we've got a very festive scene on the A-frame there. What you can't see on the picture on this one is there's a guy like sledding down the house on the side there. Oh, wow. And then, of course, option number 3. To be fair to option number 4, that was a late entry with somebody getting off work late. So anyway, we need some votes. Well, John, yes. First, your vote. What do you think? And then I want to hear about what you guys did, maybe a tradition you guys have.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm looking, as I look at this, I'm thinking, man, number 1 looks fantastic. I love the detail on the roof, the little drops and all that stuff with the icing look fantastic. Number 2, it's there's a lot going on there with the roof, like you said, but I think my vote is going to be number 3. And number 3 it's colorful, although I can't probably fully appreciate it. I'm colorblind in some colors. But I like the couple sitting out front, kind of enjoying the fire, enjoying the front yard, area right there. But then the actual fire in the background, the actual, fireplace with the logs, just makes it, it makes it feel like you're home for the holidays kind of thing. So right. I'd probably have to go number 3. So that'd be my vote. It looks like you got some comments there in the. It looks like Pasilva voted for number 4. So that's
Pasilva's in. He's like, yep, number 4. Boo's in on. Now he didn't vote. He's playing Switzerland here. But icing to gingerbread ratio is important. Yes. Yeah. Well, then number 3 there, because we got the icing blade on pretty thick. Unless your ratio is it you mean it to be a low ratio.
Oh, but that's right. What's the ratio that's important? He didn't say what the ratio was.
And Josh, hello, Josh. Happy New Year. Shocked you think that's ancient history. Yeah, Y2K. It is ancient history. It's like crazy.
Yeah. It's man, I definitely remember where I was, Y2K. But well, hey, really quick on the gingerbread thing, I had to mention this. So what my family has figured out is whenever we typically buy like the gingerbread kit, we're not out there like baking the actual cookies and stuff. So we get the kit, it's got the icing, it's got the little gumdrops and the candies and all that. And so typically or traditionally, whenever I would put the icing on to put the actual pieces together, the roof and the sides and all that stuff, inevitably about 5 seconds after I put it all together, everything's just sliding off and like falling completely apart. Right. And so I'm like, man, that's not good. Well, then I was like, hey, what if we got a hot glue gun and we actually hot glued the pieces together and then iced over that? So that's what we do now. We hot glue all of the structural pieces and then we use the icing to do the decorating. And then of course you have to eat the icing. I mean, that's a mandatory thing, right? Which it tastes like a mixture of like, school glue and paste and old sugar. Which is
that's where you get instead of the little icing kits that come with the kits, you get the tubs of like the Betty Crocker icing because that's really thick and pasty anyway. And so that's what we used on these, is to kind of like secure them together with icing so you can actually eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Without the taste of glue.
Yes, exactly. So, but no, it's a fun tradition. Yeah, the old gingerbread house.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. Okay, Aditya, looking at the new DevCentral videos, feeling like I need a time machine to slow things down. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, trying to crank out some content, Yep.
Good deal. All right. So we got 2022 in our sights. We got 2021 in the rear view mirror, but we kind of wanted to take a look at, what we did, and Peter put that up there, our DevCentral MVP announcement, and so that came out at the end of the year, and that we kind of take a look at the contributors into the community, and it's not just DevCentral, and that's the great thing about how we honor the people that contribute. It's, hey, love it if you come and contribute on DevCentral, because that's where most of the Q&A happens. But we also honor people who are active in promoting F5 technology, whether it's on their own blogs or out in the YouTube space, creating content or sharing solutions on GitHub. And so we have our class there announced 40 MVPs this year. So that's awesome, we're growing, and it's great. And of course, a couple of the people on our list are watching the show today. So
welcome,
so that's
everybody.
Great. Congratulations to you guys.
Congratulations, absolutely.
Yep. And on that note, Daniel Wolf, had a famous mail server hat at Y2K22. There you go.
Or had, yeah. Y2K22.
He is our featured member for January. So go check out, read up on Daniel and what makes him tick and what he likes to do, and that's a great write up. And so DevCentral MVP class of 22, congratulations. And if you're watching this show and you're just getting started, and you've been maybe a lurker for a long time on DevCentral or this show, but you want to become a contributor, maybe the class of 2023 is in your sight. So get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about just contributing to the community. It's not, you don't have to have, the most sophisticated, huge, crazy background. Just be a part of it, just help where you can and contribute. And man, there it is. So we appreciate all of you. That's right.
All right, John. So you were going to kind of take a look at one of the kind of the big security things, and it's not like it's in the rear view mirror yet. But what do you have to share about what the goings on of 2021 were?
Yeah. So if we all remember back last year, there was a bit of a vulnerability that popped up. Apache, and I feel like Apache just kind of gets a bad rap, with the struts framework, and it seems like every other vulnerability, it's some kind of Apache thing, right? But anyway, just wanted to mention the Log4j vulnerability that popped up. It's been a few weeks ago now, or a couple weeks ago, whatever. And that was it's CVE 2021-44228, 44,228. It's like, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, but this was a remote code execution vulnerability. Fortunately, it did not affect F5 technology specifically, but you can use some F5 technology to help protect against the Log4j vulnerability. But this was an Apache. It's Log4j is an Apache open source Java-based logging framework. And the ironic thing is one of the issues that has been there in terms of security in the past is that people don't monitor and they don't log their stuff enough, right? So you've got your whole network environment, and it's like, I don't ever log, I don't ever monitor. And then here's people saying, hey, I do log, I use Log4j. And then it's like, oh yeah, but that thing has this massive, vulnerability in it now. So anyway, it's one of those catch-22 deals, I guess, right? But Apache released, updates, and so you can update the software and be safe from the vulnerability. But that's part of the problem, though, is this thing, this logging framework is so widespread. It's so, it's all over the place. It's hard to really get everything updated quickly. And so in the meantime, you've got this remote code execution vulnerability. One thing that I'll mention, and this was out on DevCentral as well, there's some snort rules that have been sucked into the advanced firewall manager, the AFM. It's F5's firewall. And so a couple of the super smart people at F5 have said, hey, let me take that. Let me create some advanced, or some custom, I should say, signatures for the AFM to look at, to be able to detect, hey, do you have problems regarding the Log4j vulnerability? So that's out there for you to use if you'd like. But Log4j, that was a big one that just happened.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a little bit of whack-a-mole, because it's like, well, that came out, so what else can I break? And it's akin, we can look at some of our own failures. We can look at Apache and all that. We can kind of look at some of our own failures and look at the Apache interface on the big IP and the different ways that you try and protect your internal commands and all that. And sometimes it's whack-a-mole. It's like you plug some things and then somebody finds another vulnerability, and it's been that way with Log4j as well. And that they patch some things that, okay, you're absolutely safe on this version, and then they find another one in that version, like
when I said you're absolutely safe, you're relatively safe. Yeah.
You're absolutely safe if you just go sit on the beach and don't deploy stuff. But then, you got to worry about tidal waves and, tsunamis and all that stuff. So you're not safe anywhere, people, but you still have to, you have to live. So,
yeah, that's why Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. You're probably not safe there either. So there's got to be something. But no, it's true. I mean, it's, F5 has submitted or published different security advisories and just try to help wherever we can in this Log4j thing. And, but part of the issue, like we said, is to update everything. How do you update, your entire environment? And that's not an easy thing to do. You've got to have, in many cases, like planned outages or planned, kind of maintenance windows. You got to wait for those. And it's just a big mess, so, but nonetheless, you got to do it. So.
Well, it's also a shout out too that, inventory management is not just about your servers and switches and all that. You also have to inventory your open source, right?
Yeah.
Because all these tools that you use that your tools rely on, and sometimes it's like 5 steps back, right? You have something you built on something you built on something somebody else built on something somebody else built. And so you have to understand your inventory, because when all these things come out, you're scanning. If you don't have that, you're scanning along with everybody else. Am I vulnerable? Am I vulnerable?
That's right.
And so, keep inventory of all of that stuff. And I have a little bit more to say about Log4j, but another Twitter thread I had in a later conversation we're going to have on this show. Okay, so Log4j, it's out there. It's still out there. Not everybody solved that problem yet. But we're going to move on. John, we got some new teammates this year.
We totally do, and they're amazing, by the way. The first that I'll mention is Boo Lamb, who many of you have already seen if you've been watching DevCentral Connects or the live stream. Boo's got his own show, At the Edge, all about edge computing. But Boo comes to us from F5, so just kind of a move over from down the hall, as it were. he lives up in Canada, and he was a sales engineer supporting a lot of the Western Canada, customers and all that for many years, and did just amazing things. And he's got so much experience, so much knowledge with, F5 technology, and particularly how it impacts, customers specifically. So it's just an amazing fit here on DevCentral. Another super cool thing about Boo is he is like the master when it comes to like video and editing and all that stuff. I mean, he's got every little trick and tip and tool and all that. So he has already brought so much to the team and will continue to just elevate the experience here on DevCentral. So we are super excited to have Boo. And then also the other one I'll mention is Rebecca Maloney. She's a little more behind the scenes. You're probably not ever going to see her on the video here, although who knows, maybe so, maybe one day. But she, when you talk about DevCentral and all the content and all the video and streaming and, recorded video on our YouTube channel and articles that come out, and there's all these pieces of content that are flowing everywhere. Someone has to like wrangle all that stuff. Someone has to herd the cats, as it were, and figure out, all right, when does that article need to go or that video need to publish or whatever. And Rebecca is doing all that super important work for the team. And so we are just so excited to have her as well. So Boo and Rebecca, welcome. It's awesome to have you guys.
Yeah, I'm super, super excited about Rebecca because we've never had a content person on the team. I mean, we all write content, but there's never been anybody to like strategize around the content as a job. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of the responsibility of all of us. And when we get pulled in multiple directions, it's hard to herd those cats. And, you think about one of the challenges with any community that's been around for a while or any platform that's been around for a while is curation. How do you make sure that what's on your platform is still useful? And, frankly, we have some content that's not still useful, and some of it's really useful, but not formatted well. Mm-hmm. And so, that's one of the things I'm really excited about this year is to actually start to progress in that way and to make what we have already better, but then also for her to be strategic in what we have, coming forward. And then Boo, of course, man, you've been such an awesome addition to the team. Mm-hmm. And you are not wrong talking about his video skill, but also what I love about Boo is he's curious, mm-hmm. And I think that's an important attribute in general to be in this career, but also when you're doing things like what we do, but then, trying to do it through video, trying to do it through other things. He's curious and tries to make different things work rather than just, okay, this is what I have and go with it. So kudos to Boo on what all the expertise he brings to the table, well and above beyond just being a good, technologist.
That's right.
All right. So my next one, kind of looking back, was another vulnerability, and that was the Colonial Hack. And really, it was not a new vulnerability. Ransomware has been around for a long time and continues to be a thing. But Colonial was a big deal because it's infrastructure, and mm-hmm. and we have the like physical infrastructure and all that. You look at our bridges here in America. Anyway, I'm not speaking to infrastructure around the world. But here in America, we've had infrastructure for, really since the Industrial Revolution. And some of it has been maintained well, some of it maybe not so well. And, and so infrastructure needs maintenance. It needs, thought to keep it well-oiled and keep it a well-oiled machine and keep it running. And, our digital infrastructure is no different. And with the idea of converging IT and OT, operational environments with your information environments, there's good in that, but there's also some concerns in that. And when your systems are connected like that, like Colonial's were, then, your ransomware starts locking up all your OT. Well, then you have a significant challenge. And the technical things can be argued with Colonial as to, well, were they really super impacted or could they, like one of the arguments was, well, the only thing that really got hit was billing. So they shut everything down so they would actually be able to bill people. I don't, I never like chased that rabbit hole to see if that was the case. But, when you have something that impactful happen, it doesn't just affect your ability to make money. It really shut down the Eastern Seaboard. When that happened. In fact, my son in the middle of the night was driving around gas stations, middle of Virginia, trying to find gas so that he could get home from, the end of his semester at college. And it's like,
Wow.
We're like praying, hey, make it to the gas station before you're out and you're on a rural Virginia road at midnight with no ability to go anywhere except for on your feet. So, kind of a big deal. And out of the Colonial Hack, one of the things, and we're still shooting for having this show. We've just been trying to nail down assets, but I should say people are not assets. But the FBI has a partnership called InfraGard, and that's where the government comes alongside private practitioners who have skills in those areas to come up with ways to protect our infrastructure. And so it's on my list to get somebody from the InfraGard program on the FBI side to come talk about that program, because I think that'd be really informative for me, but also for the audience, and how we can work with the government. And there's always this tension between individuals and companies and governments and all that, but we have to be able to work together to protect this stuff. And so I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Yeah, and it's always fun to have the FBI, to be able to ask them all kinds of questions, like, hey, who really did that thing? Who committed the crime? Really? Just tell us. I promise I won't say anything.
Right.
So that'd be really cool.
Took down JFK.
Yeah. That's right. Jimmy Hoffa, JFK, whatever. Good deal, man. No, those are great. You're right. Colonial's huge thing. And one thing about Colonial too is that Colonial was in the news on ransomware. But the truth is there's a lot of those attacks that just don't make the national news that continue to happen. So it's an important conversation to keep having and to think about. So anyway, well, good deal, man. Well, hey, so I was going to mention quickly too a couple other things that happened this past year in 2021. So F5 had a couple of acquisitions. And it's interesting, you talk about mergers and acquisitions. It's very secretive. It's very, hey, we can't. Yeah, if you call that office, they're like, yeah, we're not going to tell you anything, kind of thing. So just don't even call them. Don't even email them, right? And I was thinking about this too. If I go into the grocery store and buy a gallon of milk or buy a loaf of bread, I go in and, depending on how much stuff I need to get, I walk in, I get the stuff, and I walk out. It takes about 5 minutes or whatever, right? Although I've got 4 kids, so typically it takes about 2 hours because, they're like, oh, Dad, and we need the snacks and the candy and the whatever, right? But nonetheless, you walk in, you buy the stuff, you walk out. Well, these acquisitions, I just find it fascinating that, that these acquisitions take so long. I mean, these are months. I don't know if it's years, but certainly months in the making. And so back in very early 2021, this was back January timeframe. In fact, on January the 25th, the news release came out that F5 completed the acquisition of Volterra. And Volterra is this edge platform this platform for edge computing. So it's all about, let's move all of the computing to the edge. So frankly, it reduces latency. It gives the end user a better experience. And so, which, I know we just mentioned Boo Lamb. I mean, his shows, At the Edge, all about the edge stuff. So edge computing is a huge thing. So now F5 actually owns, that company, or Volterra is part of F5 now. So that F5 continues to move, application to the edge. And so that happened back in at the end of January. So early in the year that happened. And then if you fast forward to October the 4th, the news release came out that F5 completed the acquisition of ThreatStack. And ThreatStack's all about cloud security and cloud visibility. So, how do you keep an eye on like multi-cloud environments?
Yeah.
When you start to deploy, it's like, man, I got stuff all over the place and I have no idea what's going on. And so the visibility and just the awareness from telemetry data and all that, that's kind of right in the wheelhouse of ThreatStack. So that cloud visibility security company. So that's part of F5 now. So, I mean, you start looking at the portfolio of what F5 is doing. I mean, with the with the acquisition, I know we didn't talk about this because this didn't happen last year, but you look at NGINX, you look at Shape Security, so now Volterra and Threat Stack. I mean, there's just a lot that's happening here at F5. F5 is really becoming a giant, a real leader, in applications in the world. So,
yeah, I'm really excited about the portfolio that we're putting together as an organization. And I was a huge fan as soon as I came to know about F5 as a company back in 2002. Really impressed with the flagship product of Big IP and where it's gone. But F5 is so much more than Big IP. And the security portfolio that we're building is tremendous. And so, if you are a watcher of our show and you are very familiar with the load balancer, we're way more than that. And so I would encourage you to look at the portfolio and expand your horizons on what the offer is, because it's not just we have all these pick products. And I worked with network management stuff back in my networking days a lot, and there was one company in particular, they acquired so many companies, and there was never any really solid integration between the tools. So it was very frustrating that they took products that I worked with that worked pretty well, tried to integrate them, and broke pretty much everything I did. And so that is not our story. And so I'm really excited. I'm really excited about some of the stuff that's coming this year from the Volterra experience, and as our research team is putting up there, we do have some shows. Ransomware as a Service a while ago, kind of maybe pointing back to some of the stuff that is used as tools for things like Colonial. And then, multi-cloud networking with Volterra was another show that we did. And so, that kind of takes me to, maybe our last big conversation before we wrap this thing up. And that's, our doubling down on OSS, open source software commitments as a company. And, to harken back to, did I just say harken? Wow.
Harken. What yonder? Yeah.
What am I, 80?
Yeah, that's right.
To harken back
or William
to
Shakespeare. You might be William Shakespeare, Jason. We just didn't know it.
Yeah, is that you remember the SNL skit with what's his name? Is that Billy?
Yeah,
is that Billy Shakespeare over there?
Matt Foley. It was Chris Farley Matt Foley, the motivational speaker. He's like, yeah, we got Billy Shakespeare there. Yeah,
the guy that lived in a van down by the river.
Yes.
Yeah. So Log4j, you talked about the hey, this thing's broken. Well, the actual Log4j component is, and if I think I have this right, was built by a team of 3 guys, and it's an open source component, so they're not paid for this at all.
Right.
And an entire industry was built on top of their tool, and so everybody's like rushing to, we got to have this patch. These guys have day jobs, they're open source maintainers. And I saw another thread on. It was yesterday. Maybe it was even one of the Log4js. I don't remember the details, but anyway, he's like, he got a letter. It's like, hey, I see there's a vulnerability in this. Can you kindly fix it? And, and the letter was from like a big company, billions of dollars of revenue. And they're asking this guy who makes nothing off the tool that he built to, you do this for me. And so there's a serious lack of gratitude to the open source, community. Sometimes from big companies. And so, to that end, I'm thankful that we as an organization are, and not that we're perfect, but we as an organization have put, money behind development, not just of our own open source stuff with NGINX, but also, putting value into the Kubernetes, community as well, because, we benefit from those tools. We benefit from the community developments around NGINX. We benefit from the community that uses it. we benefit from the Kubernetes community. And so, it's right for us to invest in those things. And so I'm thankful that F5 as an organization is doing that. And so that's something that we, saw a jump for in 2021. And I look forward to more of that from F5 and other companies in 2022.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, just to echo that. Thanks, open source contributors. It's it's a thankless job a lot, but we're thankful.
Yeah. And I saw some comments in here. Aditya said, something about being able to do a TCP download feature through the GUI. There is, it's definitely more limited through the GUI than you can do through the command line. So you have a lot more power at your fingertips in the command line, but you can do that. And as Boo said, it depends maybe in the version of TMOS that you are in, where that exists in the in the menu system. But I do recall I used that as a customer even way back in V9. So unless they've removed it in a later version, I think it's there. It just might be somewhere else. And then I missed Sebastian. Sebi, welcome. Happy New Year to you as well.
Awesome, man.
And did I miss anybody else? I think we got everybody. Josh, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yep. So
yeah. Sebastian, another MVP as well. So yeah.
Was that 4 on the show alone today?
I think maybe so.
Yeah. So congrats, guys. I'm super excited about where this year is going to go. We have some great shows coming up this year, this month rather. And let's see. I don't have the banners built, so welcome to 2022, Jason. I am ill prepared. I apologize, but you have a show coming up, so you can talk about it.
Yeah, so next Tuesday we've got the security sidebar. That's my live stream with Brian McHenry, who's the VP of product management for Big IP and NGINX. So like super smart guy. But anyway, F5 has a new security notification process. Like whenever a security vulnerability pops up, like a Log4j type thing. But there was a big one back in 2020, the 5902. That was the TMUI, the remote code stuff on Big IP. Like that was a huge one for F5 at least. Anyway, when stuff like that comes out, then we have a process to notify the customers, notify the public. But that process is changing slightly. And so we're going to just talk about like, hey, how do we notify people? What's the logic behind it all and all that stuff. So that'll be next Tuesday. Should be a lot of fun.
Cool. And then on the, that's the, what day is that? The 11th? Is that right?
That's the 11th. Yeah, the Tuesday. Yeah.
And then we're back here for DevCentral Connects next Thursday. We were originally going to do an agility preview next week, but we're moving some things around, so that won't be next Thursday. And then we have on the 20th, we have Laura Alonso who wrote a blog about her network automation journey. So if you've been with the show for a long time, John Capobianco and Dan Pacheco joined us for their network automation journey, and that was a great show. And she, with John's book, went through a journey in addition to some other resources, her own journey in 2021. So I'm never not interested in somebody's journey from where they were to where they went at the end of a year. And so she's going to join us, and it's going to be a great conversation. And then we'll close out, at least for DevCentral Connects, we'll close out the month on the 27th with Wagnonicon Forever. And so that's going to be a great show. We also have the Tuesday following John, we have the core, my show, and then we'll do top 5. We didn't do top 5 in December because of holidays, but we'll have another top 5 coming to you for all the great things that happened in January 2022.
Cool, man. It's a great lineup. Great lineup.
Yep. All right. Well, that's the show, John. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We have a quick promo for John's Tuesday experience with Brian McHenry. And thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you out there in the community.
Hey, everybody. John Wagnon here, and I've got a Security Sidebar live stream show coming up on Tuesday, January the 11th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. And we're going to talk about security vulnerability disclosures. Do you ever wonder how F5 notifies customers and the public of security vulnerabilities that affect F5 technology. Well, there's a way that F5 notifies everyone, except that process is changing. And so I'm going to talk to Brian McHenry, the Vice President of Product Management for Big IP and NGINX at F5. And we're going to talk about the new process that F5 has for notifying customers and the public and the world about security vulnerabilities that would affect F5 technology. So join me on Tuesday, January the 11th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific for the Security Sidebar live stream. And I look forward to seeing you there.